Hello, everybody. It's Rowdy, and we have made it finally to the mid-season finale of Humanity Season 1. And I am really excited for this episode. This is going to be a very big one. But without further ado, let's do this. Season 1, Episode 4, Things Change. We begin the episode in a flashback with Alex, Chloe, Jason, and Alex's parents, along with this guy who is Alex's uncle, Jeff, having a dinner at Alex's house. And this is like Thanksgiving, probably a little a little bit less than a year before the present day of the series, and we just get some interactions between all these characters just to see when things were happy and everything was normal. Alex talked to his parents a bit, and I would kind of show a bit about a thing with like Chloe is a bit of the more troubled one out of her and Alex is kind of seen as the more mature one in a way, kind of how it was mentioned in the previous episode, but it wouldn't be directly said; it would just be implied. But with that, we come back to the present day, but a little bit after, where Alex is in the forest at night, and we hear like the sounds of a zombie, and we see Alex raising a Glock 19 pistol. Cut to the intro. We're now with Alex and Kelly right at the end of episode 3 as they arrive at this house in another neighborhood. This is, of course, Kelly's house. Alex and Kelly don't really say anything as they walk into the house and open the door, and are greeted by Kelly's father, whose name is Derek. He is sitting on the couch watching TV, and he kind of asks Kelly why she's bringing people without asking. And Kelly says she's sorry, but she just ran into Alex and she wanted to hang out with him since they don't really talk much anymore. Derek says that she literally hung out with him like 2 weeks ago. But Alex says she just wanted to hang. It's fine. He says he can leave if he really wants to, if he wants him to. But Derek says it's fine and just tells Kelly to please let him know next time. And then they begin walking, and Derek looks at Kelly and asks if everything's okay. And she says, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry. Derek kind of pushes a little bit, but Kelly just says, just back off. It's fine. As Alex and Kelly head into her room, and they sit down and they begin talking about what happened. We built some development between these two characters over the course of a few hours, and we see them watching TV and having dinner. And then they kind of just recap everything that happened. Alex just brings up more about what happened with Chloe, and just Kelly's obviously still really like shocked about everything. She said that those people there, some of them were assholes, but none of them deserve to die. Alex looked at her and says, nobody deserves to die, no matter how bad. Kelly says that she agrees with that, and she just wants this to just be some kind of nightmare or something. But Alex says part of him, which it wasn't. And she kind of laughs a bit and says, why? And Alex says, well, hey, I wouldn't be able to be with you right now if it was, right? Kelly kind of like thumps him on the back a little bit. And Alex says that he's sorry. And Kelly says, yeah, you better be. Because, it's kind of a cheesy, flirty line, I guess, in a way. But then Kelly's phone rings and she looks at it and it's Viola. And she answers and we hear Viola's voice on the phone and she's shocked and she says that she's stuck in a town back at the camp. She doesn't know what's going on, but those things they're eating people and she's stuck and she's scared. Kelly asks if she can get out at all. She tells her that she knows what happened. She's safe though. Viola just begs for help and says that please send help, send the police if you can. And then the line drops, and Kelly is freaking out like, and immediately tells Alex what happened. Alex says that they have to go to the police. He says he understands about her fears, but they'll deal with it after. Viola, if anything, Viola can just be an alibi for her. She won't get in trouble, and he'll defend her. He assures it. And Kelly just says that she doesn't like it, but fine. She picks up her phone and dials 911. However, it just goes instantly to like the automated voice, and for some reason they don't pick up. It's like the lines are down. Kelly says that there's no reply, and Alex says that how are they going to do this then? He says that Viola isn't safe. If those things are really what they think they are, there's only so much time before Viola gets killed. Kelly looks at him and says that she has an idea, but she doesn't know if she could let herself bring him along for this. He asks what is it, and he says he's in it. He's in for anything. She goes into her closet, and there's like this little drawer in it, and opens the drawer, and inside there is a snub-nosed revolver, and she picks it up. And Alex asks what the hell she's doing with that, and she says that while her dad takes her to the shooting range quite often, she's surprisingly a really good shot, and well, he got this for her 15th birthday, so for like self defense, and she says that they could go get Viola themselves. She says that she knows it's risky, and she says that she will not force him to come along. But what other options are there? Let the friend die, let her friend die. But Alex says, "Hey, Viola's my friend too. Don't know her too well, but I know what she means to you. Let's do this." Alex asks if they should tell her father, and but Kelly says that nah, he will not let them go anywhere. Alex says that they should probably only go after her father's asleep so that he doesn't notice them gone. And Kelly says that she hates to have to wait and leave Viola hanging, but what else can they do? They're just gonna get stopped if they stay. So Alex says that he'll call his sister. He won't tell her that he's with her because of reasons. And Kelly says that how would Chloe feel if she knew we were hanging out right now or just seeing each other on occasion? And Alex says she'd fucking explode. So let's keep this between us for now until she finally cools down about everything that happened between you two. Kelly says that she knows she hurt Chloe and she'd be mad at herself too if she was in that situation, but she just wishes Chloe could see that she's not that person anymore. And Alex assures her that he believes she's changed, but Chloe still needs time. So he raises his phone and tries to call Chloe, but again, they cannot reach her. It's the lines are down even more now. It's like the lines are completely down now. And Alex says that's strange, especially for Chloe. Pretty much 90% of the time, Chloe will always answer. He tries calling Jason. Again, same thing. Doesn't answer. We jump a little bit later, and it's later at night, about an hour or two later, and Kelly and Alex are getting ready to head out. Kelly says that it is actually going to be pretty darn cold outside. So she goes into her closet and grabs two hoodies, and she hands one to Alex. And Alex asks if this is a woman's hoodie, and Kelly says it's unisex, and regardless, he shouldn't really care. Alex says it's fine, just doesn't know why he asked. And Kelly says, yeah, she understands how it can be. He's just prideful about his masculinity, and that's normal. They they throw on their clothing, and they slowly head towards her window, and they open it, and they head out. They are on the second floor, and they are sneaking so they don't wake up Kelly's dad. They slowly walk to the edge of the roof, and there's like the scaffolding area, so they use that to climb down, so they don't have to climb down and freaking break their legs. They're now downstairs, and they head to the road, and they begin heading towards the forest. We're now with Mike's people. We're with Mike, Corey, Devin, Logan, Landon. And they're just still hanging out. It's later at night. It's around the same time. And Devin asks, where the hell Alex went and why the hell did he not come back? And Mike said that he ran off with Kelly somewhere. He doesn't know what the hell was going on. Corey asked if there's seriously something going on between those two. They've been hanging out quite a bit over the last month or two. Landon tells Corey that they're just friends. He says that just because he hangs out with a girl on occasion, it doesn't mean there's something going on between them. And Logan agrees with him and says that they shouldn't worry about him just ditching them. It was probably something important. Who knows? Mike says he understands. He wants Alex to be happy, and if something is going on between them, he's gonna be happy for him, both of them, and support them fully. But he just doesn't want Alex to be away from them. He's really what makes their friend group their friend group. Devin says that, well, not everything lasts. I mean, and even if something happens between him and Kelly, it doesn't mean that they're not going to see him still. He'll just be focusing on their relationship. And he says that's normal. Devin says if he had a girlfriend, they'd probably be seeing him less too. And it'd probably be the same for all of them, and they shouldn't deny it. Logan tells him that he hates to admit it, but he is right. And Mike just says, yeah, same. Corey says it's been awfully quiet out here. Not much going on. They are in a small neighborhood walking, and they probably just got back from a restaurant. Corey is just really unsure about all this now. They begin walking more down the street as they see some well, they don't see it, but they hear siren sounds in the distance, pretty far away, and they even see two military helicopters flying over. And Mike's like, what the heck is that? And this isn't something that's ignored. Logan's like, okay, sirens are normal, but helicopters, let alone military ones? Logan says that it can't be anything good, right? I don't know, what if something serious is going on? Mike says that maybe there's a drug bust or something. And then, Corey laughs and says, yeah, they bring in military choppers for a goddamn drug bust. Landon says that, well, who knows, Landon says maybe there's just something else going on. Maybe there's a bank robbery. Maybe somebody's doing something really bad and it needs serious reinforcements. Mike says to just drop it. They said, let's just get back to my place and we'll worry about it later. They get to a small town. This is where Mike lives. It's a small place with a bunch of apartments and other store buildings, and they turn the street as they see a pretty shocking sight. They see dead bodies, and those bodies being munched on by the dead, by the infected, and Landon just fucking screams in shock as this scream makes these dead people turn to them and begin walking. The gang of five, they slowly begin backing up and they scream for them to get away from them, but that just draws more of them. But then 3 military trucks come in and soldiers come out and use their guns and mow down all these infected. And then the one of the soldiers, his name is Private Ryan. Yes, Saving Private Ryan. And he tells them to just get in the truck. They're gonna bring them to safety. Mike asks what the hell's going on, but Private Ryan says, "Hey, look, it doesn't matter right now. We need to get in the truck. This is serious." Logan says that he needs to get home. His parents are gonna freak out. But the soldier says, "Hey, look, I didn't make the orders. I was just given them, and we are legally obligated to make you come no matter what cost and no matter what force we have to use. So I suggest you just stop talking and get in the truck." The boys are obviously really like nervous and scared, but Private Ryan assures them that it's going to be okay, and they're just going to be taken to safety until things are normal again. We are with Cassie, and she's at this place. This is her apartment, and this is a little bit before on the timeline, I'd say, as they're sitting on the couch, her and her mom, and her mom's not looking too great. Like she looks a bit sick. And Cassie asks what happened with that thing on her arm, that that cut or whatever. It almost looked like she was bit by something. But Cassie's mom says that she didn't want to worry her, but she was at a homeless shelter because she does some volunteering there, and one of the people, she doesn't know why, but they attacked her and slightly bit her on the arm. And that's all. It was just an injury, it was minor. It didn't even get too far into her skin, surprisingly. So she just came home and patched up while she was at school. And one thing I'll say is like when it comes to bites in this, it's not like The Walking Dead where like you turn a few hours, you'll die a few hours. Like you can in this universe, I'm gonna say, with a bite you can last like 2 days. So you survive way longer with a bite in this universe. Cassie tells asks she asked her mom like really why that she didn't tell her, but Cassie's mom just says, "Hey, I just really didn't want to worry you, and I'm sorry, but it was enough that you were worrying about your father. You didn't have to worry about some dumb injury that I had." Cassie just says that she understands, and well, what else can they do, right? She says that she probably would worry more if she knew about that. So she understands why she would hide it from her. They turn on the TV, and there's like a news broadcast, like a pretty big one, and they say that the virus that's been spreading across all states has been confirmed to spread across every single country in the world, and has proven to be extremely deadly. And one of the reporters says that they're not 100% sure about full on transmissions yet, or exactly on how it's caused, but they can confirm over 5 million deaths linked to the virus, and that whatever it is, it's 100% kill rate so far. The reporter says that there will be more news on this broadcast as it comes, and the military has been dispatched to major cities and major towns neighboring cities to put down quarantines and keep civil affairs calm during the time that they try to figure this out. Cassie looks a bit nervous and says that, "What if that's what killed Dad?" And Cassie's mom that says, "Well, holy shit, I think you're right." They hear a knock on the door, like a really like fast pounding knock, and Cassie's mom gets up and looks through the door, and like we're looking at her POV, like as she looks through like the keyhole or door hole, peephole, and there's a man there, and he looks like freaked out and nervous. Cassie's mom opens the door, and the man walks in and like hugs her and says, "Thank you so much." And her mom asks, "Who the hell is he, and why was he pounding on their door?" Cassie walks up and asks what's going on, and the man says, and he's clearly delusional, and he says that there's people eating each other. There's something happening, and people are turning into some monsters, and they're eating everything they can see. Anything living, they're gonna go after. Cass says that that's crazy, and Cass's mom says that she agrees and asks if he's high or something, but he says no, he's telling the truth. He's and he says that he saw a bunch of them not long ago, and he ran from them, and he just ran in here. He begs for them to call the police, says his phone was dropped as he was running away. And Cass's mom says, "Well, All the lines are down, man. I tried calling people, and I doubt calling the police is gonna do anything. And Cass's mom says, "Look, I can't help you. If you want some water or something, I'll give it to you. But after that, you have to go." And Cass's mom tells Cassie just to keep an eye on the man as her mom goes into the fridge, and then the man looks at her and he sees on her arm there's like the bite, and he freaks out and says that she's one of them. As he reaches into his back pocket and pulls out a small revolver and aims it at Cassie's mom. And Cassie's mom is shocked and says, "What the hell he's doing?" And Cassie's freaking out too, but doesn't move. And the man's like aiming the gun at both of them and like switching his aim. And he aims at Cassie's mom again and says that, "Hey, you're one of them. That virus, whatever it is, it's transmitted by bites. If you're bitten, you're one of them. You turn into one of them." Cassie's mom just tells him to lower on the gun and get out. They don't have to talk about this. He doesn't have to worry. She'll be fine. Cassie's mom slowly walks towards him as Cassie just watches, just motionless and scared. Cassie's mom slowly walks towards him as the man just tells her to get back and says that he'll shoot. And he raises his gun and aims it at Cassie, and then Cassie's mom runs at the man, but then the man turns his gun again and fires, and he shoots Cassie's mom in the head. And this is played in very slow motion as Cassie's mom drops to the ground. As the man looks, he drops the gun in shock, turns around and just runs away. Cassie runs to her mom and she just begins holding her and begins crying, asking her and begging her to get up, but it's clear that she's that she is dead. And Cassie just looks at the gun as we end this scene of the episode. We're back with Alex and Kelly now in the forest, and they're walking down the path, and Alex asks if these things, if she's able to even kill them, like would she be able to kill somebody? She says that he says they're still human, right? And Kelly says maybe they are, but what if she has to do it? She doesn't want to, especially since some of them might be her friends, but she's gonna do what she can to protect herself, protect him, and protect her friend, protect Viola. They continue heading down the path as they hear something in the distance, like some kind of walking, and Kelly tells them to hide. As they hide in a little bush, and they stay down as they see in the distance somebody walking. And Kelly says that it's one of those things, and Alex says not what he expected, as it begins slowly inching closer and closer. And Kelly says, "Just don't make a sound. Maybe it won't see them." And it gets really close now. Alex kind of sees, and he's definitely kind of like scared. Like you can tell, like this really makes him uncomfortable, as there's this thing with rotted skin and blood coming out of its mouth, and just Alex just is like, "What the hell is that?" But this infected heads towards them. It's like they didn't make any sound, but it still managed to find them, since it can like it gets attracted to human meat, human flesh. And Kelly tells him to get back as she gets up and she raises a revolver, and it's getting really close, and it begins dashing at her. But then Kelly begs for um begs for him to stay back as she takes a shot at it, and it doesn't kill it. She shoots in like the neck, but it just kind of like stuns it for a second. It keeps heading towards her. She takes another shot, and again nothing happens. But then Alex looks at her and says to shoot it in the head, shoot it in the head, like shoot it in the damn head. Then she takes another shot, shoots it in the head, and that thing drops dead. And Kelly is like really like mortified by this, and she's kind of shocked that she just, in her eyes, she just killed a human. She just killed a man. And she just reaches into her backpack, pulls out a few more bullets, and puts it in her gun. Alex asks how many shots she has, and she says that she has about 12 left. So she says a good thing thinking about shooting in the head, and asks how did he think of that about that, and he says that when the cops killed the things at the hotel where Chloe was, well, apparently they shot them in the head, and that's the only way they got killed. And Kelly asks, maybe, yeah, maybe the infected, maybe they're like invulnerable to anything but destroying the brain. And Alex says that it's the only thing that makes sense, and hey, regardless, you should be aiming for the head anyway, right? And Kelly says, good point. She laughs and says, all that time playing Grand Theft Auto really took a turn on him, didn't it? And Alex says, he's nothing like the characters in Grand Theft Auto. He just knows how to play the game and how to play it efficiently. But Kelly says to get back on track, they got to keep moving. They continue down the path as they begin reaching the camp, and they get behind a tree as they see a lot of these infected, around three or four at this camp, and there's like a tent. And Kelly says that like she says as she points to one like red tent and says that that's Viola's tent. That might be where she is. And Alex asks how the hell are they gonna do this? But then Kelly pulls out a revolver again and says, "Same way we dealt with it last time." As she gets up and begins walking towards them, and Kelly just tells Alex to stay back. And then she just slowly goes up to these infected, raises her revolver, and begins firing multiple shots. She does like miss once or twice, and like sometimes doesn't hit the brain, but she manages to kill all of these, no problem. And Alex runs to her and hugs her and asks if she's okay. And then Kelly says, "Ah, they didn't even touch me." And he asks, "How did it feel this time?" And she says, "After that first one, it felt like nothing almost now." She said that she's not happy what she did, but at least it's clear. Kelly screams for Viola's name, as obviously we see Viola walk out of this red tent, and she is like really happy to see Kelly as she walks up to her and hugs her. As she looks at the dead bodies, and she's like, "You killed them." And Kelly says, "Well," she said she didn't have a choice. And then Viola notices Alex, and she's like, "Yo, what are you doing here?" And Alex says, "She asked me for help." Couldn't deny her that. And Viola just says, "Well, hey, thanks." Kelly asks what exactly happened with her. She hasn't seen her since that night. So Kelly gets back to Viola. Goes up to Viola. Oh my god, what am I saying? Viola begins explaining that well, she went out to take a walk for a while, like by the river, and then she kind of got really tired and fell asleep. A few hours later, she gets up, walks over to the tents, and then she sees these things as they try to attack her. She didn't know what was going on, but then she just hid in her tent and just stayed as quiet as a mouse. They got really close to the tent and tried to get in, but they didn't manage to get in. And then she called Kelly, and well, hey, they're here now. Kelly said they just need to get out of here. Viola asked why they didn't just call the police. And well, Kelly kind of, was like, why didn't you call them? And Viola says, the lines were down for me. I don't know why I couldn't reach them. But then, Kelly's like, yeah, it was the same thing for me. It wouldn't have changed anything, right? Viola says it's like, yeah, right. Viola thanks them and says that she owes them her life for real, and that what they did, what they did today was really heroic. And she says that she doesn't know how she feels about Kelly having blood on her hands, but she says that well, it falls in the lines of self-defense, right? Alex says that they should probably go get back to Kelly's place. He'll probably have to go home after too, though. They begin slowly walking down the path as this scene is over. We're back with Mike now, like Mike's group, as the truck of the military stops in front of a nightclub. And we see some other military vehicles as Mike, Corey, Devin, Landon, Logan. They're all ushered out of the truck and they're led into the nightclub. And inside this nightclub, there is easily 100 civilians in here, all like crowded up. And the soldier, Private Ryan, he just says, "Hey, just stay with them. We're gonna take care of this. There's some food. We brought in some water for all of you. We're just gonna try to figure out what's going on, and you'll be free to go." The five guys begin sitting down at its like small room. It's like one of those small like sitting areas with like chairs and like a lounge. They sit down as they look around, and all these like civilians, they're just as confused as they are, and some of them are nervous, and there's even like young children in here, like age 5 to 10 even. Corey asks, "What the hell was that about? What just happened?" Landon's like, "Well, we got taken by the military to a nightclub for some reason." But Logan's like, "No, wait, no." Logan said that. Landon is like, "Okay, I keep messing up right now." Devin is like, "No, I think he means like, what did we see before they came in? Those things." Mike says, "Those things, they were eating corpses, some kind of cannibalism thing." Corey is like, maybe this has something to do with what just happened with them seeing the military helicopter. I mean, it makes sense. There's military presence. Maybe the military is responding to this. Landon asks, maybe this is some kind of cannibalism operation. Maybe there's a serious thing going on. Um, Devin says that that's a bit crazy, but what else could it be? Could it? I mean, it could be that virus that's going around, but he's unsure. They continue sitting down as they're approached by somebody, and this is actually William, or Mr. Quartz, the teacher from the school that Alex Alex had for history. And obviously the guys are kind of surprised, and Mr. Quartz asks what they're doing here, and the guys are like, "Yeah, same thing as you." William sits down and asks how they're doing, and Mike's like, he just opens up and tells William what happened, what he saw. And William just looks at them and he kind of like looks sad. And Corey goes out to him and is like, "Hey, what's wrong?" He says that his daughter, his 17-year-old daughter, her name was Alice, and well, she turned into something like one of the things they saw. He doesn't know what happened to her, but all he knows is that she had some injury on her arm. She claimed that she just got cut, but he thought it could be something more, but he couldn't take her to the hospital because they were closed. And then next thing he knows, next morning, she turned into one of those monsters. Then the military came in long after and brought him here. William asks how long this has been going on, and he says that they've been bringing in people into the nightclub all day. And they asked, like, the guys are like, "Why wasn't it on the news?" And they say they wanted to keep things calm. The military is only bringing in civilians they see, and they've only started bringing in more troops today. And Corey says that he's right about that. They saw goddamn helicopters flying over recently. And William, like, even though he knows things are bad, he's surprised to hear freaking military helicopters are flying over their small town. And he asks if they're serious. And Devin says that they wouldn't lie, would they? Landon and Logan and all of them, they give their condolences for his daughter, and they say they really don't know what that could be like. William says that they're good kids, and it's a shame that he didn't have them. He didn't have them this year, and he hopes to have them in a future year. if they survive whatever's going on. And Mike is kind of like shocked that he would say something like that, and he's like, "Damn, that's dark, dude." And William says that he's sorry, but after his daughter, what happened to his daughter, it kind of hit his positivity, and he's only thinking negatively right now. He doesn't even know how to think straight. Devin says that he has to keep moving for her. He says that Devin says when his grandmother died, I mean, Devin was in a dark place for a while, but he remembered what his grandmother said before she did pass away. Keep fighting, stay happy no matter what. Don't forget your daughter, but remember her and turn the sadness into strength. And William says that he didn't think that he'd need this from one of his former students. And Devin just says, "Well, we're not in school, right? We're not your students, we're your friends now." William laughs and says, "Yeah, I guess so." And that is the end of that scene. We're back with Cassie a little bit later as she just looks at her mom. As we see that she kept trying to call the cops multiple times. And well, she's really just distraught and she's just crying her eyes out as her mom just got shot in front of her. And she just again looks again at that revolver that the guy shot her mom with. And the guy ran away and she just gets up and looks at her mom and tells her mom that she loves her. As she goes out of her apartment to try to get help since the cops aren't here. She goes around and she knocks on multiple doors, but none of them respond. She begins heading downstairs to the apartments as one person comes to the door, and guess who it is? It's freaking Sandy. And Sandy, she actually lives in the same apartment building that Cassie lives in, and Cassie just looks at Sandy and she's just like really like shit, I don't need to deal with this. And Sandy just looks at Cassie and begs for help and says that she's hurt. And Cassie just looks at Sandy and tells her to go fuck herself and she doesn't need this right now. Sandy says that can they just talk? She's injured and she just needs help. There's nobody around. The police aren't responding. 911 isn't responding. And Cassie goes up to her and says, "You treated me like shit for a long time, Sandy. You treated everybody like shit. You only cared about yourself and that loser boyfriend of yours. Why the hell should I help you? It's not like your life is in danger." Sandy says like she understands what she did was wrong and she regrets every little bit of it. And she just needs help. She just needs some medicine or something to patch up her wound. And Cassie just looks at her and just says, "What wound?" And Sandy raises her arm and shows the huge mark that she got bitten by back in episode 3. And Cassie is a bit like, she's kind of shocked by this bite. It's the same thing her mother had. And she looks at Sandy and is like, "Oh God." Cassie tells Sandy, just come on. They slowly begin walking as they begin conversing. And Cassie doesn't really want to say anything, but Sandy's just kind of talking to her, trying to be as polite as possible. And she says that she doesn't have to forgive her for what she said. And she says that she hopes her father gets better, especially in these conditions. She knows what's happening with the hospitals. She hopes that whatever her father has, it's nothing. And this just really like gets Cassie really pissed off as she looks at Sandy and says, "Well, hey, my father's dead. So, hope you're proud of yourself. You might not have done it, but your words that you said didn't help anything. Didn't help my self-esteem or my like mental state." And Sandy is just really like she just pauses frozen as she kind of like looks back and just realizes how fucked up what she said was. And she just said she's so sorry. And, well, Cassie then breaks what just happened and she says, my mom just died. Her mom just died. And Sandy asks, wait, what do you mean? What happened? As they get to her door and they open it, and Sandy looks and she sees Cassie's mom dead on the floor with a bullet wound in her head. Sandy asks, what the hell? Did she's like, did you do that? And Cassie's just really sobbing. She says, some guy came in, freaking out about what's going on outside. There's some monsters or something. They were something about them eating people, and she said that her mom had the same injury that Sandy had. And the man said that this bite is what kills you. And you turn into one of them, and the guy freaked out and he shot her. And he ran off, and then he encountered her. Sandy begins she's really feeling bad now. And she just puts her arm around Cassie and says that she's so sorry about what happened. And she said that she'll, no matter what, she'll never do anything to hurt her again. She's gonna do everything she can to better herself. But Cassie says that's the thing. She points towards Sandy's injury, and she says that, well, the how did you get that injury? She asks, and she says that, I mean, I saw something happened, and then she explains the whole story about how she got that bite. And Cassie's kind of surprised that it basically lines up perfectly with what the guy said. And Cassie says that, well, if she got bit, then that guy wasn't lying, and things are really bad right now. Then she might be infected, and if what he's saying is true, she's gonna die. And Sandy is just really shocked by this, and she says that it can't be right. And Cassie says that she's sorry, but she doesn't think patching it up is gonna do anything. And Sandy begins freaking out and says that she saw what happened to her friends. She doesn't want to turn into one of those things. And she says that her boyfriend is dead too, which she didn't tell Cassie initially. But then Cassie looks at her and says she's sorry about Brock. And says that maybe it's not as bad as they think. Maybe they're still human. But Sandy says those things weren't human, and she begins freaking out and says that she doesn't want to turn into one of those things. She says that she has to find a way to stop it. And Cassie Cassie says that, well, there is one way you could stop yourself from, As Cassie turns and she looks at the gun on the ground and picks it up, and Sandy asks what she's gonna do with that, and Cassie says, nothing that you don't want me to do. Cassie says that she maybe if she puts a bullet, maybe if she destroys the brain, maybe she won't come back as one of those things that Sandy saw. I mean, though I haven't mentioned it yet. Sandy would have mentioned that some people got really sick before they turned into the monster, and Sandy hasn't been feeling too well either. So Cassie says, if she destroys her brain, maybe she'll be dead, but she won't have to suffer as one of those things, whatever they are. Sandy kind of tears up and says, I'm just gonna die anyway, right? Cassie asks if she's gonna do it, or if Sandy wants her to do it. Sandy says she can't bring herself to pull a trigger on herself, even if it is better than what's to come. So Sandy asks, she says that she knows Cassie doesn't owe her anything, but she begs her to do it for her, and says that if anything, she should want to do it after everything she's done. Sandy Sandy just tells her to end it for her, end her suffering, and it would end Cassie's suffering too. She doesn't need her in her life. So just make it easier on yourself and mine, and just put a bullet in her head. Cassie's kind of tearing up and says she doesn't forgive her for what she did, but it's not gonna make it easier doing it herself, but she'll do it. She brings Sandy into her bedroom and tells Sandy to lay down, and Cassie just holds the revolver, and they have a bit of a conversation for a bit before they decide to, get it over with. And Sandy kind of asks Cassie a bit about life after death, and Sandy asks if Cassie thinks she'll go to heaven after everything she's done. And Cassie says she doesn't know, but even though she might not be her biggest fan, she doesn't think anybody would deserve to be in hell. So she'll pray for her to go to heaven, even after everything she's done. And Cassie says, wherever she goes, it'll be better than, it'll be better than just being some mindless monster. Sandy says she agrees. She begins coughing up and getting a bit sicker, and she even coughs up a bit of blood. S- Sandy says that they should probably just get it over with. There's not much else to talk about. Cassie asks if there's anything else to make her more comfortable. Does she want to have some water? But Sandy says there's really nothing, and she just asks Cassie to promise her one thing. Just promise. She just promise me that tell everybody I'm sorry, basically. And Cassie just holds her hand a bit and says she will. As she looks at the revolver and says, well, guess there's not much else to say. As we cut outside the room, like we just see a shot of the door of Cassie's bedroom as we hear a gunshot. And with that, Sandy is now dead. We're back with Alex's people now. We're with Alex, Kelly, and Viola, and they continue to walk down the path, and they just chat for a while. Try to not think about much. Viola asks if Alex is going to talk to his sister about this, and he says that he probably will. I mean, she's going to flip and probably never trust him again, at least for a while, but better than just a lie for her for life, especially after what happened. Regardless, he can't lie to his sister about what happened. And Kelly says that that's good. She's glad that he's an honest person. And she's glad that she has a friend like him. And he's pretty much better than most of the guys she's friends with. Alex does actually bring up Jonathan and says that he's glad that she got rid of that guy. And she actually brings up that something about Jonathan, saying that when I got attacked by one of those things, Jonathan came up, and that son of a bitch ran away. And Alex asks how she managed to get out of the situation, and she says, "Well, Sandy saved me, and she got bit by one of those things." But that's all I know of her after that. Sandy was a bitch, but Kelly says she does hope she's okay, and obviously, from what we saw just now, she's not okay. They begin walking down a street as then they see lights not far of like machine guns, and then it's actually the police. And the Alex tries to say something, but the cops immediately scream at them to put the gun down. Mainly, screaming at Kelly. As the cops, there's two of them. There's two of them, and they both have rifles. They go up to all three of them, and they immediately take the gun out of Kelly's hand, and they put them on their knees, and they all three of them are put in handcuffs. And Kelly says that she can explain there was something going on out here, and this one of the cops asks, "So what? I mean, it doesn't really explain why you have a gun, does it?" And Kelly says that there were some monsters. Something happened here while she was hanging with her friends, and they died. One of the cops says that they were called out here by some of the parents. There were some teens hanging out here, and they didn't come home. So, and Kelly says, "Yeah, well, those people that didn't come home, they're never going to be coming home." And the cop says that they're being crazy, and they'll go back. They'll go to the camp and see if they can find them. And he says he's starting to think that them three, they might have something to do with it. But Alex says they didn't. And one of them, he can't point to Viola because he's handcuffed, but he says that Viola, she was stuck there for a while, and she can explain and be an alibi. And Viola says that she was. Those things tried to kill her, and she was stuck in the tent for a while until Alex and Kelly came to save the day. And the cop asks, "Save the day how exactly? Does this explain how you have a gun?" And Kelly says, "Well, yeah, I fucking killed them. What else was I supposed to do?" And she doesn't even care. She just blurs it out loud. And this cop is really like, what the hell? And he laughs and says that, and I was like, did you just admit to murder? And Kelly says, it was self-defense. The cop says, well, we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this later, okay? Uh, the cop tells his like other buddy to uncuff Viola and Alex, but he says that Kelly's under arrest for murder at this moment, and tells her that she's going to be taken into the station, and the two others are going to be brought to for questioning. But she is looking at doing some time if the right evidence is pulled up and if she is lying about what she did. They'll do what they can. Maybe it was self-defense, but they need to be safe. The cops tell them to get moving, but then in the distance we see some of the infected. Some of them they left, and one of them is actually Brock, and they begin running at them. And Kelly tells them that those are the things they saw, and she just tells them fucking shoot them. And the cop is like, why the hell are you telling me to shoot somebody? And he's like, yeah, you really are crazy. He, but these infected, three of them just run at them, and the cops both raise their guns, and they tell these people to get back and stop running at them, or they're gonna shoot. But these they just keep running, and then Kelly just screams for them to freaking shoot them already. As well, these two cops are immediately tackled by these infected. Um, Three of them, and are brought to the ground. They're eaten. And Viola and Alex get back, and Kelly manages to get up even though she's still in handcuffs. And they begin eating as this other infected runs at Kelly and manages to tackle her to the ground. And she screams for help as Viola tells Alex to grab one of the cop's guns, which is like on the side, like the cop dropped it. And Alex runs to pick it up, and he's like really nervous about this. And Kelly screams for Alex to shoot the zombie. And this is actually Brock that's on her. And he raises his gun, and this is where it ties back to the opening of the episode. He slowly raises the handgun and aims it at the zombified Brock, and he says that he's sorry. And he paused for a second. He's like really nervous about having to do it, but Kelly just tells him to just do it. He has to. And Viola just again presses for him to do it, and then Alex pulls the trigger, and then Brock's infected body drops dead. But Alex is a bit shocked, but he doesn't even like pause. He just turns around, raises his gun, and though there's a lot of recoil, he manages to cap the two other zombies in the head, no problem. He like had like an adrenaline rush, and he just didn't care. And he just gets up, and he's this is finally where the shock fully sets in as he drops the gun, and Kelly Lazen says that he has some good shooting skills. And Viola tells Alex to get the cuff keys off one of the cops. As he does that, he gets the keys and he takes the handcuffs off of Kelly. and the cops are on the ground. They're both dead, and Kelly says that he should put a bullet in both of them. I mean, they got bit, and apparently getting eaten or like getting that bite, it seems to be what's causing it. And Violet has confirmed it. She saw some people at the camp turn when she came back. Alex goes over the cops and raises the gun, but he can't bring himself to do it since, in his eyes, though they're dead, they're still human in a way. It's not like the zombies, which he doesn't. They don't have names for them yet, and they're not going to be called zombies in the series. We're gonna have a name for them in the next episode, so he can't bring himself to do it. So Kelly goes up to him. She asks for the gun. She takes it, and she raises the pistol and she shoots both of these cops in the head, even though they're already dead. And Alex just looks down. And Kelly says that they should get out of here, and they get out of the forest not long after. They're on the road now, walking. As they look in the distance, and they see vehicles, and they see like police sirens, and Kelly tells Alex and Violet to get down, and they all like kind of hit the deck in the middle in like a little ditch next to the forest. And this scene is like really kind of disturbing as we see multiple cop cars, freaking like SWAT vans, military trucks, a tank, helicopters just flying by. They all stay down for a while, for as long as possible, and then they get up, and Alex just looks and just says, "What the hell is going on here?" We're back at the nightclub now, and things have kind of jumped in time a little bit, a few hours, as Mike and the others, Mike, Corey, Devin, Landon, Logan, they're all sitting in the lounge still, along with William. As the soldiers, one of the soldiers, this isn't Ryan, this is just some other guy. He tells them that they need to get on the dance floor. One of the head of the operation needs to say something. They head into the dance floor with all these other civilians as they look up, and this head soldier goes up and explains the situation. He says that a deadly virus has been going around, and they have just gotten a conversation that this virus, for some reason, has the ability to reanimate the dead. The soldier begins to explain more. He says they have confirmation that these reanimated corpses are attacking and eating other humans, and that it is mainly transmitted through bites, and that's what causes you to turn. One random guy screams and says that what do they plan on doing it about it? And the soldier says that he's getting to that. The soldier says that they tried what they could. They tried what they could, and they're trying to do what they can to contain it. But they've been given orders, and he says that he's sorry. That he's sorry, but he says that they've been given that the army, though this isn't their specific team right now, they've been given the orders to bomb the city of Boston. And then everybody gets riled up, and everybody's like, they can't do this. They have friends, family in the city. But then the soldier raises his gun and shoots in the air and tells them to calm down. The soldier looks down at them and says that they don't have a choice. Their only way is to get rid of anybody who may be infected to contain the virus. And some woman just gets up and screams that they're psychotic. They're just going to be killing innocent people. Not everybody's going to be infected, right? But then the soldier says, well, this is where it gets to the worst part. He says that they've been given orders to kill any civilians they see. He says that they want to do this quick as everybody's starting to get agitated. And we see this going in slow motion as citizens begin to scramble, as there's like a bunch of these soldiers on like the second floor of the nightclub raising their assault rifles, and they begin opening fire on all the civilians who are down in the on the dance floor. And we just see everybody running, and then we're with Mike, Corey, Devin, Logan, Landon, and William as they begin running. and they run into like this little kitchen area where they make some of the food, and along with some other civilians, and they get down as they just hear gunshots, and William's just losing his shit and saying, "What the hell are they doing? They're supposed to be helping us." And Mike says, "Well, they're not. They're freaking killing. They're freaking killing innocent people. There's goddamn children here. These whatever they're doing, it isn't helping." Devin says they got to get out of here. They all begin running down another hallway trying to get out as the doors of the kitchens are kicked down, and we see the soldiers again. They're opening fire on more people, and and then one soldier comes through a hallway. There's like this kind of intersecting hallway, and we see the six running, and there's some shots that go off, and it kind of actually separates this group. So now the group is split into we have William, Landon, and Logan, and then we have Mike, Corey, and Devin. They're split into two different groups now, and we mainly start to focus on William's group as they begin running, and they turn to a corner and they see an exit as they hear more gunshots in the background, like civilians who are behind them getting gunned down, and they run to the door and William says that they just got to get out of here. They run to this exit as William kicks the door out and gets out, followed by Logan. But then Landon is like, he's a bit of a slow runner, so he tries to run, but then a soldier in slow motion turns the corner, raises his rifle, and shoots Landon in the stomach, and he drops to the ground. As then we just hear like a huge like no out of Logan as he just shuts the door as he can't do anything. And then we hear a few more shots going on in front of the door, and this confirms that Landon is dead. So William guides Logan up to this like little there's like a stair area, like a little thing with benches, and there's like a dumpster, and both William and Logan jump into this dumpster and close it. As they kind of peek through a hole and they see the soldiers come out, three of them, and one of them says that he can't believe that he just did that, talking to the soldier that killed Landon, and the soldier says that he had no choice, it was orders, but the civilian says it was a child. What the hell are you thinking? Look, and we may have been given orders and we have them, but we also have morals. That's what the army is about. It's about protecting, not killing. But then this other soldier, he doesn't even say anything. He just raises his gun. He has like a Glock, and he just shoots this guy in the head. No mercy at all. And the soldiers say like, look around, see if you can find them. You see the two that ran away, you kill them. We need to do what we can to keep the virus from spreading. And Logan and William just look at each other and just really like they just saw their friend die. Well, for William it was just a student, but Logan it was one of his friends. We're with Mike, Corey, and Devin now, and we see that they managed to kind of get out through like a basement. And as we see them like climbing through a window, managing to get out, and they hide behind like a little wall as they see some civilians running around the street, and the soldiers opening fire and killing them. This is supposed to be a like very like disturbing and dark scene. And then we see even more civilians running as Mike, Corey, and Devin. They just run into an alley and they just keep running and they don't look back. We see like they've been running for clearly a while and then they stop and they head onto the street and look and they say they don't see anybody. As they sit down to pause, and Mike asks what the hell just happened. Corey says he doesn't even want to think about it. What they just did, he says that was the most evil thing anybody's ever done. And Evan says, why would the military do this? Whatever's going on, is it that bad? Mike says, the dead reanimating? Like, is it even possible? I mean, Corey says, I mean, what else could it be, right? And Mike just tells them that they gotta find a place to hide, hold out whatever it is. And he says that there's this abandoned store not far. He doubts the military would search that place. They'll go in there and they'll hide for a while till the morning. Hopefully after that they can get out. So now we see Mike, Corey, and Devin head into this building. They like not long after they do break the window. They get in and they head into this storeroom and they sit down. And that is actually the end for these characters. For the main stuff for these characters, that's the end of them for this episode. Now we're back with Alex and Kelly Viola as they're back in Kelly's neighborhood. And Alex is obviously looking worried. And Kelly looks at him and says that you can stay with us. Me and, like, she's like, Kelly says that Alex can stay with her and her dad until this blows over. And she says that, well, she hates to do it, but she's basically forcing him to stay. Whatever's going on, she's not letting him. What's going on? There's military out there. She's not letting him get home alone, and he can't reach his sister. So for his own safety, she's basically gonna force him to stay at her dad's for now. Alex says that he doesn't love the idea. He hopes his sister's okay. He needs to check on her. But Kelly says Chloe will be fine. She promises him. Viola tells him that she should go find her parents. She doesn't live far. She'll just go talk to them. She's gonna explain to them what happened since she couldn't reach them before, and hopefully they're okay. And they'll come back after, and they'll all hold out together. They'll bring a they'll bring over some food and water because they'll probably have to hunker down for a while. Kelly tells Viola to be safe, and Viola's like, likewise. So now Kelly and Alex are alone together as they begin walking, and they stop for a bit, and Kelly just looks at Alex and says that she's grateful for what he did for her today, and she never expected anybody to go that far for her. But Alex says that he'd do anything for his friends. He says that it has nothing to do with her being a girl, nothing to do with her being a pretty girl. He'd go he'd go to hell and back for his friends, no matter what. And Kelly smiles and says that she thinks that's a great quality in somebody, not somebody who just wants to party and just be an asshole like her ex. Just somebody who's gonna have her back. And Alex is kind of shocked by this because it's in a way she's almost kind of being flirty. He takes it. So Kelly just like goes up to Alex and says that she doesn't want to be away from him. She feels happy with him. She feels safe. And Alex just responds and says that with her, he feels the same way. He feels like he can kind of be himself and not have to worry about judgment or anything bad. He can just kind of be straightforward with her. And Kelly says that again, and she can rely on him to have his back no matter what, to have her back no matter what. Then she just looks at him and she kisses him. And then she just pulls away after, and Alex is a bit shocked, and he smiles and says, he was just saying, I was hoping you would do that. And then Kelly kind of slaps him on the chest a bit and says, of course you were. And she says, let's just get home. We can do some more later. So they continue to walk and they get back to Kelly's house. And then we see Derek, Kelly's father, sitting and he's asking them where the hell they were. And Kelly says, We need to talk about something. And now we actually are with Chloe and Jason, who we haven't seen basically this entire episode. They're sitting on the couch watching TV as a emergency broadcast alert goes on. And before that, they're just talking, and Kelly says that she's worrying about Chloe's worried about Alex because she hasn't heard from him, and he hasn't been answering her calls, and they haven't even been reaching him. Jason says that he's probably fine, but then after that, that's when the emergency broadcast alert comes on. And this alert is basically issued by the army, and this broadcast says that any civilians out of any civilians within the city of Boston need to take cover now, as there is a bombing about to take place in there is soon about to be a bombing of the city, and the bombing is going to be happening in a minute. And this guy on the guy like voicing it says, "Everybody find cover under anything," as there is a bombing about to happen. And Chloe is freaking shocked by this, and so is Jason, because of course Kelly's. Why am I saying Kelly? Chloe's parents are in the city, so the emergency broadcast says that it's the best they can do to secure the current virus. It spread too much, and it continues getting more information. It's basically the same thing that the guy at the nightclub says. It says that there's a virus reanimating the dead, and that right now the only way they can contain it is by exterminating the city of Boston. But they say that they're just asking anybody to take cover, and they're just gonna try to kill as many of the dead as possible, and they'll deal with the rest of the civilians, whether it's lethal force or by actually helping them and quarantining them. And then we just see Chloe and Jason running out of the door as we see the sky, not the sky, but we see like an overhead shot. This like really cool overhead shot of jets flying over the city of Boston, very reminiscent of the scene in The Walking Dead where the city of Atlanta is bombed. But then we see jets dropping bombs on the city of Boston. And then Chloe just looks up and she just breaks down as Jason puts her arm around her, as they know that Chloe and Alex's parents are dead. And that is something, though we didn't see them die, that's something I'm confirming. Their parents are dead. This bombing did kill their parents. Though we haven't seen it, we never will see it unless I did some kind of like Tales of the Walking Dead series for this, which way too early to decide to do that. But yeah, their parents are dead. And now with that, we cut to this closing scene that has music playing over it. We're now with Cassie. She's running down an alleyway after what happened. She's crying as she turns a corner in the alley, and at the other side she sees both William and Logan standing there, and she looks at them, and that's the end of that scene. We're with Mike, Corey, and Devin. They're sitting inside this room, and they're eating some food that was in there, and they're just kind of looking hopeless. There's not much going on. We go back to this nightclub as we see the military laying waste to all the civilians and some of them that reanimated after being killed, some infected ones because there's all that they're killing them. And then we have a shot over Ryan who says that our work here is done. We gotta roll out. We're being called back to base as they all get in their trucks and they begin driving away. We see a scene of Alex and Kelly as they sit down. They're sitting down in her basement and they're talking about something. And then Derek comes down. We don't see exactly what he's gonna say because there is actually, I'm gonna read this out. There's a voiceover from Alex over this scene, and we just see we're back with Chloe just crying her eyes out over her parents. we see the shot of Cassie's apartment. We see a shot over Cassie's dead mom. We see Sandy's body. We see the bullet in her head. We see Landon's dead body. We basically kind of have a shot of like all these characters who are dead. We see shots in the woods of the camp, all the dead infected there, the dead cops, Brock's dead body, the two other infected there. It's a really like sad and like it's just a really sad scene that kind of just brings everything together as we see basically everything that happened in this episode kind of summed up in this closing scene. And Alex would just go on and say some stuff like how he doesn't know what's going to come from this and what's going to happen next. And he says that he's worried. He really is. And he doesn't want the people he cares about to die. He doesn't want to die. But he wants to try to make the most of it. Try to see what he can do to help the others. Because right now, all he can do right now is survive. Because now they're in a new world. And as much as he wanted to believe that things would go well and everything would be okay, and well, things things just didn't go well, and in the end, things change. And boom, that is the end of the episode. Holy mother crap, was this a long freaking episode. Obviously, at this time, I don't know how long it'll be, but this felt like a 1 hour episode. Damn, this was longer than a freaking Walking Dead episode. So, what did you think? This wraps up the first half of season 1 of Humanity. And next week, we will be going into the second half. And the second half is going to be a lot faster paced. Because this first half was more about character development, I find. Just meeting all the characters and developing them as much as possible before the second half. The second half will, though it will still have a lot of character moments, I feel it's going to be something that's a lot more plot driven than character driven. But the second half is definitely going to be where things start to get darker. Let's say, I mean, you saw with this episode, I feel like going into 1B, you're going to see things really do start to get a lot more dark. So we had a lot of deaths in this finale. Like maybe like nobody too big named. I mean, Cassie's mom died. Landon died. Sandy died. Brock, he died in episode 3, but he technically died a second time this episode. And now, well, I am gonna go over a little bit of a list here about who's still around. So right now, for main characters, like characters who I consider like series regulars, we have Alex, Chloe, Kelly, and Mike. And then for the rest, we have who are alive. We have Viola, Mike, Devin, Corey, Logan, William, Cassie, Chloe. No, wait, I said Chloe. We have Jason, and I'm pretty sure that's it actually. For now, I think that's the only characters who are confirmed alive. We also have Jonathan, who is I'm not gonna say whether or not he's alive, so I'm just gonna put him as unknown. And then just to recap, I'm just gonna recap like all the deaths we had like over the season. So we had Madison, we had that teacher in episode 2 who died. We have a bunch of nameless students from the that camping trip for Kelly. We have Brock who died. And then we know for about everybody who died in episode 4. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. One hell of an episode. The next episode is going to be the mid-season premiere and is going to be titled A Rock and a Hard Place. See you then.